I think whether you become a physician, an NP or a PA, I think, and I say that sometimes even on my own social media, it's like tenacity and perseverance, because you will get knocked down several times.
We're back,
Unfilter It
with
Lindsey
and China.
Today we have a very special guest, our first plastic surgeon on the show, podcast, whatever we're calling it. This is Dr. Nasser. He is a plastic surgeon with the Plastic Surgery Center. Introduce yourself a little bit.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ahmed Nasser, one of the plastic surgeons at the Plastic Surgery Center and the Institute for Advanced Reconstruction. Thank you both for having me.
Thanks for
And
coming.
I've been following your podcast so far. It's a lot of fun.
All right. Well, hopefully today will be fun for you.
We're excited to have you.
And how long have you been with the practice?
So this August is going to be 3 years.
All right.
Flew by.
It goes by very fast.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm almost like 15 years deep with the practice.
Stop
It goes
telling your age.
by really fast. So we wanted Dr. Nasser to come on. He's very into, I would say, motivational speaking, gratitude, mindset, being mindful always. He's a great doctor, very compassionate, which is sometimes hard to find these days in 2024.
I paid her $15.
Yeah.
The first
yeah.
time was $10.
Every time it's
This time
it's
$50.
$5.
$5 more.
$5
You're getting more expensive.
$5 a
Right. Per compliment.
$5 per
Okay.
compliment.
with interest.
Yes. Yeah, it's a loan.
So let's go through a couple or the types of procedures that you're mostly doing.
Yeah. So I do a lot of reconstruction. So the things I specialize in are breast reconstruction, as well as peripheral nerve, specifically occipital neuralgia. So those are sort of my two things of passion that I love to do. I obviously do a lot of other reconstruction. I actually do a fair amount of skin cancer reconstruction for after most surgery, as well as reconstruction elsewhere in the body, as well as some cosmetic procedures.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about occipital neuralgia, because I feel like people have no idea what that
I
is.
think some people have that, don't
And they
even
just
know
think
it.
it's migraine.
They'd like, ow.
Absolutely.
Give me some Botox.
So give for for
Yep.
patients that are just listening, give us some layman's terms of like, hey, if you have migraines, it might not just be that. You might have occipital neuralgia, and at what point or what type of symptoms should they have, and say, hey, let me call this place.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head saying that it's underdiagnosed. It's extremely prevalent. So I feel like for every 10 patients that have headaches or migraines, probably, and this is just, obviously partly conjecture, but there's probably a couple there that actually have occipital neuralgia. So the typical thing is people will get headaches that start in the back of the head. This is where the occipital nerves are. So you get a lot of people who think they're tension headaches, or I slept funny on the pillow is a common one, right? Or on a different pillow. I woke up with a stiff neck. My head hurts in the back, and then it goes everywhere. Those are very common things. And just obviously to clarify for folks listening, I'm not a neurosurgeon. I'm not a neurologist. I'm a plastic surgeon. So, but as part of our training, we are trained to work on peripheral nerves. And the occipital nerves are some of the biggest nerves in the body, in the back of the head. So that they act as trigger points.
Yep.
Very interesting. So when would a patient seek out your expertise? Like, because I know Lindsey and I probably both treat headaches with Botox, and sometimes we'll hit those little occipital muscles with Botox and the patients will get some relief. So when would someone reach out to you for help with that?
Yeah, I think the first step is basically recognizing that this patient may have that. That's like recognition is just, step one. Step two is also hooking up the patient with a neurologist. I think neurologists are very important because headaches are such a big category, and you want to make sure they have the right diagnosis, they have the right imaging before kind of resorting to us. But it never hurts to actually keep us in the loop from the beginning. And frequently I'll get patients who come from web inquiries, and they'll come see us first. They don't have a neurologist yet, or they may have seen one 3 or 4 years ago. And then I'll kind of put them back in the loop with a headache neurologist. And we have several that we work
We
with.
need a neurologist here.
come see us. Come find neurologists out there. Come on. We'll hire you.
When everything is
Yeah, yeah. No,
that would be easy and straight. I'll talk to Elwood next.
there you go. There you go. There you go.
He's a good but
That's
all right.
cool.
So I think that that's a good thing, and I definitely have had some patients that I've referred for occipital neuralgia examinations. How do you find patients after the surgery recover? Do they notice it instantly? Because mostly the tension's from a compression somewhere.
Sure.
So it's kind of like patients, anyone listening, you think about how everyone's heard of carpal tunnel syndrome.
Right.
That's
So,
the most
you
common,
just
yeah.
have your nerve there is being compressed at your wrist. So it's kind of like that, but in the back of your head at the base of your skull. So it's pretty much, I know it's a lot more in depth.
No, but there's actually a lot of
But-
correlation. There's actually been studies to look at people who get carpal tunnel, and a slightly higher percentage of people who get carpal tunnel actually get occipital neuralgia than just in the general public. So there's something about your susceptibility to have nerve compression there. But to go back to your question, there's a certain period of recovery. Obviously, afterwards, after decompression, the nerve maybe sort of, we say, sleep for a while. So it means that you're going to have, a certain amount of numbness in the back of your head for a while, until the nerve sort of comes back and resumes function. But surprisingly, a lot of the headache patients or the patients that have triggers in the back where the occipital nerve is, they don't mind the numbness. They'd rather
Feels
just
better
have
for
no
them. They're like,
pain.
"It's great."
And then in the right patient, based on our selection, they can have complete relief. But our statistic is that 50% of patients will have an improvement. 80% of patients will have an improvement of 50% or more.
That's
It's
great.
a mouthful, but it's 80%
Yeah.
will have a greater than 50%
That's a good
improvement.
estimate.
Right.
I would be
Again,
on
it's
that.
all about
Yeah.
patient selection.
Yeah.
So some patients who just have global headaches, those are not great.
Not it.
Yeah, that's not it.
All right.
So,
The more you know.
yeah.
We need the
The
star.
more we know.
The star.
Yeah, but the more you
Banner, we need a ticker here.
star.
Yeah.
The star shooting across.
Light bulb. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I like that. So let's talk about breast reconstruction a little bit.
Yeah.
There's so much breast cancer these days. I thought there was so much years ago when I was around it, but I feel like it's just getting more and more. They're even finding new genes now
Yep.
with testing. So that's a good thing. Hopefully more patients can find it sooner than later. But is there a certain breast reconstruction that's your favorite?
Yeah, and to just go back to what you said, when I was in medical school back in the Stone Age, there was that's
Not
not,
the
funny.
Stone
No, I'm
Age.
just kidding. I'm extremely old.
We'll also be up on this. We were Betty and what's her name? Rubble with you.
In the Flintstones, yeah. There were only literally a handful of genes that you would test for breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Now the arrays, I think, like hundreds of genes
Yeah.
for susceptibility
Wow.
and whatnot. So I think we're doing a much better job at catching it earlier. And we certainly see a younger crowd of patients
That's
being
what I was gonna
diagnosed.
say.
I mean,
Scary.
it's sad, but at the same time, we're hopefully saving a lot more that way. Obviously, breast reconstruction is a long topic, but to be very concise about it, there is implant-based reconstruction and there's tissue-based reconstruction. What I do a lot of is implant-based reconstruction, is going from an expander initially as a first step into an implant later on. With the help of our colleagues and some of our surgeons here, I do some tissue-based reconstruction, and I assist some of my colleagues with that, which is usually a microsurgery. But it's something, the options are there. And then some patients, and, this is not a sexy topic, but some of our older patients or even younger patients who don't want a longer recovery, they choose a flat closure.
Yeah.
And that used to be kind of like taboo to talk about because it's like, oh my God, what do you mean you're a plastic surgeon? You're just
Yep.
going to flat close. No, actually, a significant amount of patients, that's what they want.
think they just wanna move on with their life.
They want to move on,
Yeah,
or they have comorbidities where they just want to be safe about it. And we still have a role in making it look
Yeah.
nice and
Yeah.
giving them a good
Absolutely.
closure. So the breast surgeons are relying heavily on us also for that. Now, so there's several different options,
I like that.
I love
Yeah.
that. So you seem very passionate about these procedures that you do. What made you choose plastic surgery?
So I grew up in a household of two physician parents.
Oh,
My mother is a pediatrician. She's retired now. My dad's a plastic surgeon. He's semi-retired, but he will never retire.
Right.
So it's almost like I had no choice. No, he always said, "I'm not going to force you into it," but I think subliminally I just kind of drank it as a kid. But I saw their dedication. I saw, I got the chance to go into the operating room with my dad. I remember one of the most severe things I thought, but probably life-changing for me, is him doing microsurgery on a severed hand in the operating room and replanting it. And, I think I was in high school. I got to, help him with some video shoot for it, obviously with the patient's consent. But I saw that patient then recovering and have function in their hand. And it kind of blew my mind. I'm like, wait,
This is cool.
how can you do this?
Yeah.
I want to do this.
Not just because I've been to plastics for most of my career. I did cardiac surgery for a couple years before switching to plastics, but I think it's the most fun. Every day's different.
Absolutely.
Even if you're doing the same procedure, it's different every time.
Yeah.
The toolboxes that plastic surgeons have to have is intense. It's not just every procedure is not standard to the point.
Correct.
Anatomy starting is different, so it's intense. And I don't think people realize it.
No,
They go
no,
to
it's-
plastic surgeon. You're just
Right.
doing boobs all day
Yeah.
and making butts and all
Which,
this stuff, and you're like,
which I want to say, I want to
Yeah.
thank you guys actually for the name of your podcast, Unfilter It, because I think there is a move now in our field to unfilter it, to take the Band-Aid off, like you guys said. We're real human beings, right? We have lives outside. We interact with patients. We're not sitting in front of a screen 24/7 reading scripted material.
Yeah.
And the patients are not looking for that, with all due respect.
Right.
And I respect all my colleagues
Great.
in the field and everything. I learn a lot from them. I'm way early in my career. But at the same time, we need some realism in this field. Like,
They
we
just wanna
need
know
to,
us.
they want to know us, like I do some social media stuff on my end, but when I'm with my PA, Jenna, shout out Jenna,
Jenna.
and
I love Jenna.
and my team, I say, we're not going to rehearse this. I'm just going to tell you the broad topic, and then we're going to do
let
it.
it go. Natural.
Because I want the patient to come in seeing what they saw on social media, not to see, Dr. Nasser's, he's like sitting on a pedestal. Although it'd be nice to sit on a pedestal. Everybody needs a pedestal, but that's what I mean. So you guys are like, that's awesome. I really like the message and everything that you're bringing through.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
love that that approach, and that you guys are also receptive to the realness or
Yeah.
the personal, making yourself personable, because I think nowadays where the consumer is more educated and there's more resources for them, it's nice to feel like you know the person before you're reading them in
A lot of times my
So-
patients are like, I feel like I know you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know you guys
Exactly.
already. And I'm like, yeah, you do.
And-
Your personality
normal.
is like
It's nice.
what makes you you, and I
Yep.
think that your
That's what
patients
people-
want a relationship with you, especially
100%.
in reconstruction.
It's so personal.
Yep.
So personal.
And like you and I have known each other a little bit longer, and when I known you, by the way, Lindsey is like if I was a female PA, I would be Lindsey. That's basically, we're the same person, we're just different. But knowing you and then seeing the podcast, it's like, that's Lindsey on the podcast, no different. China, you said you were an ICU burn nurse before, right?
Yeah.
See, I study your stuff.
And I did like
which
ER stuff.
which
too.
makes you just as crazy as we are, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
did burns for a year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to be,
crazy.
Yeah,
great.
you have
And
to
now,
be able-
that's one of the hardest jobs ever. Like my year of burns,
Yeah.
those nurses. So God bless you, God bless them, because
I have to like tell a little story though, since we're on the topic of burns. So yesterday, unbeknownst to me, I'm going about my day, and I'm just like looking on social media, and I was on Facebook, which I hardly ever go on. And one of my old patients tagged me in a post. It was the 18-year anniversary of his burn.
Wow.
And like I worked in the ICU with like so many good nurses. I couldn't even believe that he not only remembers me, because they're in
hands
comas,
down.
when they're, when I was taking care of them, they're all asleep and they're
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
in comas. So the fact that he remembered like small details of his,
You changed his life.
patient.
You changed his life.
Yeah, it was that was heartwarming.
Yeah.
So yeah,
One of the hardest
I'm
jobs,
right
hands
now.
down. No, seriously. A very.
so it's cool that we do what we do, I think. And to speak to what you were saying, Lindsey, also is like, it is a day-to-day change. And I think, early on in my career where I was still trying to find myself and I was very much an adrenaline junkie, that's what appealed to me about the emergency room, because I was like, I could be a surgeon 1 minute and a gynecologist the next, And
Right. It's just
it was just a vast
do everything.
plethora of different things coming in. You're never bored. And that's how I feel now about It Aesthetics.
And it's interesting what you say about the ER, because when we have med students training with us, I always say, if you're interested in ER and you want to work as a true emergency room physician, go in like rural, out in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
where there are no specialists.
And then you're
gonna see everything.
Yeah.
You can't call a plastic surgeon.
That's
You're the
right.
plastic surgeon.
That's so true.
So, yeah.
all right. What
Cool.
else did we have to ask?
So let's talk about your gratitude and your gratitude practices, mindfulness. Like, you talk a lot about that on your social media, and I think that that's so important and lacking in today's world.
Oh boy, how much time do you it's funny because I work with a lot of my great colleagues in the practice, and one of my colleagues who I respect a lot was jokingly but unjokingly saying, "Oh, you're so sage." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You have this so much like advice." I'm like, "I know, but I'm very self-conscious about it because I realize how young, I guess, old, depends on how old you are, I am and how much I still have to learn." But funny enough, like residents in my previous training have called me the same thing. So for whatever it's worth, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try. But yes, I think mindfulness is something that I don't want to say is lacking, but in a very busy lifestyle that everybody has now, it has dropped as a priority. Let's just say that, because I'd like to give people the benefit of the doubt that they want to do better, that they want to be good people and behave in a good way. But everything is just busy and the priority list is like high. But, I have an 11-year-old daughter, and we were just literally talking about this 2 days ago, mindfulness. And I think mindfulness starts from when you're a kid, from how your parents raise you. If you're at home and your parents are always like, hey, pick up after yourself, help mom and dad with the chores, do this, do that, then you're always kind of connected to everybody around you and you're looking out. It's not a me-centric kind of thing.
Right.
And, I was just telling her, I was like, do you know what blinds are? Like when, horses.
Yeah.
But, the blinders. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, she's like, yeah. I'm like, you know what the function is to just keep them focused and keep the distractions out. But as humans, we shouldn't behave like we have blinders,
Right.
Like we need to be aware of everything around us. And the biggest example that comes to mind is the parking lot.
Oh.
Okay. And I'm sure I'm not, no, not to say, the supermarket parking lot, right?
Yeah.
You want an experiment in psychology? Go look at a parking lot. And this is not my invention. People have studied that. Look at how people are parking, like the sideways, I don't get the double park,
Right.
or coming out of their spots or walking or whatever.
They're not handicapped.
Exactly.
Right.
Or, shopping cart back. The shopping cart's not even, drop the stuff, put the shopping cart next to the, and people may laugh at us like, what are a bunch of like plastic surgeons, people like talking about, but it's mindfulness. That's in everything we do. And if you extend that to your career, you're taking care of patients, right?
Right.
It goes hand in hand with that. It makes you more considerate. It gives you what people consider as good bedside manner is really just you're mindful. You understand what's going on. The person who's coming to you crying because they have breast cancer and they're undergoing breast reconstruction also has 3 kids in school, also has a mom who just fell down and broke her hip, also might be going through a divorce. I can't tell you how many people I've seen go through a divorce during their breast cancer diagnosis.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind. So I just try to, bring it back to this. And then, the last thing I'll say, because I'll keep rambling about this forever.
Yeah,
but
no, I love it.
in my culture, I'm originally from Egypt. And, in the Arab world, the old term or name for doctor is Hakim or Hakim, not Hakim Olajuwon, but same name. Hakim actually has a double meaning. It means wise person and physician. So the two have been linked even in older times. physicians didn't just kind of treat patients; they solved other problems. They, so I think it's just part of what we do. We're trained to do it. We all know how to do it.
Yep.
Well, it's healing the whole person too.
Exactly.
It's like
Exactly.
taking into account everything, the whole being,
picture.
psychologically, physically, family life,
Yes.
all of the things that you said. Yeah, and kindness.
100,000%. Kindness all
Kindness,
day, every
people.
day.
Kind-
All day, every day.
Kindness
That goes
matters.
such a long way. The whole one act of kindness a day. Even if you just like pick up a napkin that someone else threw on the floor,
Anything.
that goes a long way.
It matters.
Absolutely.
It does.
Absolutely.
I think too, what you said, it starts, early on. And Blaze and Gia, my kids, the big ones, probably won't agree at this time, and they're teenagers, and they're like, why do I have to do all these chores?
Yeah.
It's training. You're training them to be a good human.
To the whole,
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you need to think about everything else and be considerate of other people.
That's
So,
more important
do
to
the
me.
dishes.
Yeah, there you go.
Start a towel load for me.
Yeah. No,
I'm always telling them on the phone when they call, like, Lindsay hears me. I'm literally like,
she's like,
hi Jay,
and I'm
how
like,
is
start
school?
a load of laundry.
Yeah, hi Jay, how is school? Start a load of laundry for me? Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
No, we're very fortunate. Leanne's, our 11-year-old and 5-year-olds are a little too young at him, but
Yeah.
Leanne has been a blessing. But we stress that to her because we're like, this is how you're going to be a good human being in society. And I think that can go for
I love that so
everything.
much.
Two. All right. So should we do some funny questions?
Let's do some rapid
All right.
fire.
All right.
All right.
Go ahead.
One song for karaoke. What would you pick?
Oh, chicken fried. I'm thinking the chicken fried.
Mine's being got back.
Oh, really? Favorite, how do you have your coffee?
Right here, yeah. So, lots of milk, moderate sugar, and then, whatever fresh brew, and depends. I don't want to say vendors' names, but depends.
don't.
Yeah.
Although I do like the vendor with the black and white cup, just saying.
I'm going to be quiet.
One day they may be our sponsor.
There you go.
Maybe.
We'll reveal it
Maybe.
some
then
point.
we'll reveal it.
Yeah.
Favorite vacation spot.
Oh,
vacation food.
yeah, no, we do.
Yeah.
We do. I'm very biased towards family time, to be honest. I'm not just saying. So it's usually just dependent on where, I can reconnect with family.
Yeah. So anyway.
I think I'm just a person that needs connection all the time. You know that
Yeah.
from text messages in the middle of the night. So, so it's So I think it's wherever the family.
Perfect.
What's your zodiac sign?
Aquarius.
Oh, I love that.
Makes sense.
Aquarius are great.
I hope so.
My son is Aquarius also.
Oh, there you
Aquarius
go.
man.
He's
Very
gonna do
cool.
great things.
Yeah.
The laundry.
The laundry.
The laundry.
The
He
dishes.
will. I hate laundry too, so I can't blame him for
does.
that.
Everyone
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
No, they do good.
What else? Any questions you have?
No, I just again want to thank you guys for this because I think people need to see how our field really is and an unfiltered version of it. And again, I watched your first 2 episodes. I think you guys are going to be a huge success.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah.
All
This
right.
episode might flop, but
No.
otherwise,
It's gonna be great.
No.
What advice do you have out there for newbies that are trying to get into medicine?
Yeah, I think go in it for the right reason, which is you being interested and wanting to help people, and it needs a lot of perseverance. I think whether you become a physician, an NP, or a PA, I think, and I say that sometimes even on my own social media, it's like tenacity and perseverance. Because
Yeah,
you will
definitely.
get knocked down several times.
Yep.
And you just have to learn to get back up again. So
gotta go.
you get knocked down, you get back up again. And every time you get more and more successful because you learn from those.
Yeah,
but
have
it's
some
tenacity.
thick skin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
In
I
life
think-
in general.
yeah,
Right.
I think
In
it
general.
goes, for everything. And, a lot of life is about like the things that are opposites. So have thick skin, but still be mindful of what people are going through
Yes.
around you.
I love
you can
that.
be, you can be
You can be
both.
both.
It's like reach for the stars, but remember
Know
what
you're
you
on the
started
ground.
from. Like,
Yes.
remember the people who got you there. So it's a lot of these, opposites.
Personalities.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on our
Yes.
podcast.
Anytime.
You'll be back.
Anytime.
Definitely.
You'll be back.
I will. I'm going to pay my way back.
Yeah.
Well, tune in next time for
Unfilter It.
with China and Lindsay. See you then.